This is Isaiah chapter 2, and I'm starting a new series where I'll be reading verse by verse in Hebrew and in English for those who would like to get familiar with Hebrew. And um, just a note on the Hebrew accent. Generally, because for conventional teaching, I will keep it with the standard Hebrew pronunciation that is used in Israel, modern Hebrew, or among many of the Sephardic community. Although a certain pronunciation I grew up with was more of the Ashkenazic, and some differences being with Saf and Taf. For example, in Isaiah 2, it would say Be'acharis, so with the Ashkenazi it could be Acharis, but in regular Hebrew it's Acharit. So for the sake of people who want to learn Hebrew in the conventional way, I'll be generally keeping it in the conventional, although it may shift back, once in a while. It may shift at times, but and that being said, Isaiah chapter 2, Yeshayahu, Perek Bet. Hadavar asher chazal Yeshayahu ben Amoz, al Yehuda v'Yerushalayim, the word that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, prophesied concerning Judah and Jerusalem. V'haya b'acharit hayamim, nachon yihyeh har Beit Adonai barosh haharim, v'nisa migvaot, v'naharu elav kol hagoyim. And it shall be at the end of days that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be firmly established at the top of the mountains, Berosh Harim, the top of the mountains, V'nisa migvaot, and it shall be raised above the hills, V'naharu elav kol hagoyim, and all the nations shall stream to it. V'halchu amim rabim, and many people shall go. V'amru lechu v'na'aleh el har Adonai el beit Elohei Yaakov. Come, let us go up to the Lord's mount, to the house of the God of Jacob. V'yorenu midarachav v'nilcha be'orchotav, and let him teach us his ways, and we will go in his paths. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, for out of Zion shall come the Torah shall come forth. Udevar Adonai Yerushalayim, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Oh, and by the way, if you want to follow along as I'm reading it, you can go to Chabad.org and go under their heading of the Tanakh, the English and Hebrew Tanakh, and that's what I'm reading from. In verse 4 now, V'shafat bein hagoyim, and he shall judge between the nations, V'hochiach la'amim rabim, and reprove many peoples, V'chitetu charvotam le'itim, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, V'chanitotehem lemazmerot, and their swords into and their spears into pruning hooks. Lo yisa goy el goy cherev, velo yilmedu od milchama. Nation shall not lift the sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Beit Yaakov l'chul ben elcha be'or Adonai. O house of Jacob, come, let us go in the light of the Lord. Ki natashta amecha Beit Yaakov, for you have forsaken your people, the house of Jacob. Ki malu mikedem, for they are full of, and it says in parentheses here, witchcraft. Mikedem from the east. Ve'onanim Kaplishtim, and soothsayers like the Philistines, Uvialdei Nachrim Yaspiku, and with the children of Gentiles they please themselves. Vatimale Artso Kesef Vizahav, and his land became full of silver and gold. Ve'ein Kesei Leotzrotav, without end to his treasures. Vatimale Artso Susim, Ve'ein Kesei Lemarkevotav, without end to his chariots. Vatimale Artso Elilim, and his land is full of idols. Le'maaseh Adav Yishtachavu, to the work of his hands he prostrates. La'asher asu etz be'otav, to that which his fingers made. Vayishach Adam Vayishpal Ish, and man has become bowed down, and man has become humble. Ve'al tisa lahem, and you shall not forgive them. Bo batsur v'hitamen be'afar, come into the rock and hide in the dust. Adonai umihadar, Mipnei pachad Adonai umihadar geono, because of the fear of the Lord and because of the splendor of his pride. Ene gavhut Adam, with the haughty eyes of man, Shafel will be humbled, V'shach rum anashim, and the height of men, V'nisgav Adonai levado b'yom hahu, and the Lord alone shall be exalted on that day. Ki yom l'Adonai tzivaot al kol ge'eh, for the Lord of hosts has a day over everyone proud, Viram, Ge'eh Viram, proud and high, Ve'al kol nisa v'shafel, and over everyone exalted he shall become humble. Ve'al kol arzei halvanon, haramim v'hanesaim, ve'al kol alonei habashan, and over all the cedars of Lebanon, high and exalted, and over all the oaks of Bashan. Ve'al kol he'arim haramim, ve'al kol ha'gevaot ha'nisaot, and over all the high mountains, and over all the exalted hills. Ve'al kol migdal gavoha, ve'al kol choma betzura, and over every lofty tower, and over every fortified wall. Ve'al kol aniot Tarshish, ve'al kol schiot hechemda, and over all the ships of Tarshish, and over all the coveted floors. V'shach gavhut ha'adam, v'shafel rum anashim, and the loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of man shall be humbled. V'nisgav Adonai levado b'yom hahu, and the Lord alone shall be exalted on that day. V'ha'elilim kalil yachalof, and the idols shall completely pass away. Uva'u bamarot tzurim, and they shall come into the caves of the rocks. Uvimchilot afar, and into the hollows of the earth. Mipnei pachad Adonai umehadar geono, bikumo la'arotz ha'aretz, because of the fear of the Lord and because of the splendor of his pride, when he rises to break the earth. Bayom mahu yashlich Adam et elilei kaspo et elilei zahavo. On that day man will cast away his silver idols and his gold idols. Asher asu lo l'ishtachavot lachpor perot v'la'ata lefim, which they made for him, which to prostrate himself to moles and to bats. Lavo benikrot atzurim, to come into the clefts of the rocks. Uvesife aselaim, and the hollows of the cliffs. Mipnei pachad Adonai umehadar geono, because of the fear of the Lord and because of the splendor of his pride. La'arot sa'aretz, when he rises to break the earth. Chidelu lachem, withdraw yourselves. Min ha'adam asher neshama be'apo, from man whose breath is in his nostrils. Ki v'ameh nechshavhu, for in what merit is he to be esteemed?